It's time for the interview. It's time for breakthrough. If you're ready for next level blessings, abundance, and prosperity, then it's time to tune in to the interview with your girl, Trish M. Hey, fabulous ladies. Hey, it's your girl, Trish M. And did you know that I own a boutique? Yes, ladies, yes. Check out Trish M Boutique today and use code PODCAST to get 25% off the total order. Go to www.trishmfashions.com. That's Trish M Fashions with an S.com. And don't forget, use code PODCAST to get 25% off.
My husband and I were talking, we were like, okay, who better to bring in than the directors of our marriage ministry life group at our church, Mind of Christ International, than the Carters. So y'all give it up for them. On today is that we're going to dive into their marriage. We're going to take a look at their marriage and get them to share and impart with us on tonight. So this is our Night with the King Marriage Ball, and these are some questions that we're going to be talking about in the interview. So just to start out, can you guys just quickly introduce yourself to the audience before we tap in?
Hello, everyone. I'm Antonio Carter. Everybody call me AC. I'm a member of Mind of Christ International. We stay in Alabaster. My wife and I are business owners in Alabaster. We own a bakery, Perch Desserts. So come by, get some sweet treats.
I'm Toy Carter. I am the missus.
Awesome. Well, you know, what we want you guys to do on tonight is share some of the history of your marriage. Tell us about where you met and how you became engaged, how long you've been married, etc. You know, just share a little bit of details on who you are as a couple.
Well, we actually met. It was so funny. We met. I was attending a going away event for one of my friends. She was moving to Alaska. And AC just happened to be there, not as a guest of her party, but as a friend of the venue owner. So that's how we met. He was there visiting his friend, but I was actually attending the party. And I just saw him and I was like, oh.
Wow.
But yeah, so, after that, we started dating.
Well, the next day, I'm going to tell you about the next day. So that was on a Thursday night. That Friday, I showed up at her job. Because I was flying, I had to get out of town. I said, I got to go see her before I leave. And I was new in Birmingham. That was on a Thursday.
Yeah.
I had just moved here that Tuesday from Indianapolis, actually. And so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you guys been married for how long?
We have been married now, going on 8 years.
8 years. Y'all give it up for 8 years. AC and told back, y'all. He's a big time Bama superstar. Everybody remember AC Carter? I don't know. Y'all gotta, I tell people, Google him, okay? Google him. All right. So let's look back on some of the expectations that you had before marriage. Some of the expectations that you had before marriage, how have your expectations changed now?
Well, I'll say for me, I think that when you first get married, you're in love. For us, I was in love, I was young, and I just thought that it was gonna be perfect. You find somebody that you click with and you just love them and you just think that, it's gonna be like that the entire time, and that's, actually is far from the truth as anything. Of course, I love him and everything, but my expectations were super high. I was just in love, and I was like, we gonna be happy forever, but,
what had happened was.
What had happened was, but, yeah, that was for me. What about you, babe?
My expectations was I got somebody to cook every day. I got somebody to do my clothes. I ain't got to do nothing. But what happened was.
Can I get a maid in the building?
Well, and she know I was just coming from. I mean, I'm the baby of 3 boys, spoiled. My mom cooked. I watched my mom just cook a meal every day.
And she still does.
And she still does. I mean, literally every day. My mom cooked a hot meal for my dad every single day. Amen. I mean, really, from scratch. I'm talking about pork chops and meatloaf and, smothered. I'm serious, every day. So I'm like, this is what I'm gonna get, you know?
Well, let's park there though, because how do you deal with, well, this is what mama and them did, and what I'm used to what your reality is, and what you gonna get.
Right.
So, because a lot of couples may have that issue, well, mom used to do this, or I'm used to a woman doing X, Y, Z. How do you deal with that in your marriage when it comes to what you were used to what you have?
I'm gonna tell a short story really quick. So, my wife invited me over for dinner the first time, and she cooked. And then I looked, I'm like, that don't look like what my mama cooked. But it was good, but it didn't look the same. But anyway, but the answer to that question is, you expect that, and being young like I was, and again, play ball was catered to, being on full scholarship, the same thing. You get full meals, everything, you got people folding your clothes, you getting pampered. You play at Alabama. So again, I'm walking, my mom did it, and then as an athlete, I was pampered. So that's what I expected to, I was entitled to, this is what's gonna happen.
You was entitled.
Yes, that entitlement, that's exactly right. And it was a wake up, like, nah, bro, you gotta get your mind right. What you gonna cook? So it was a challenge. It was a challenge for me.
So how were you able to get through that? How were you able to overcome? Was it just a lot of compromise? What was it that helped you get over that hump to realize you didn't marry your mom?
Right. And it was compromise, but I got on the phone with my mom. Hey, mom, teach her how to do this. Mama, you need to show her. But really, her and my mom has a great relationship.
Yeah.
And it did. It took some compromising, and I was like, I need some cereal some night. I had to go to bed hungry some nights, and then it's like, what's going on? But really, to overcome that, her and my mom had some really good conversations, and that helped me.
But for me, I think it was compromise and realizing that he was used to that. So I did get with his mom. I mean, because he liked his rice a certain way. His mama did his rice. So I did learn to do, little things like that just because I knew how important that was to him. I know how close he is to his mother. So I was able to make some adjustments, and I think we kind of grew into our own way of doing things, our own way of, because now he cooks and he loves cooking and he cooks every day.
Wow.
That was gonna be my punchline. I'm the cook now.
That's good stuff. All right, so listen, we're gonna move on. And this question is for both of you guys. I give you opportunity for both of you to answer this. What are some things that you love about your spouse? You first, Stacey.
Okay, some things I love about my spouse. The way she challenged me. That's what really I love the most about it. Again, this is my second marriage. And so my first marriage, good woman, but I was able to do what I wanted to do. I can go where I want to go.
Entitled.
Exactly. If I said I'm going to go here, I went. I'm going out of town, I'm going with my friends. But now, my wife, I tried it the first time. She's like, what? But she challenged me. And she wasn't a yes woman. She stood firm on what she believed in and what was right. And that got my attention. Again, because I was always pat on the back, entitled, get what you want. It wasn't that way with her, so I enjoyed that.
Well, I find that's interesting because a lot of men feel like you challenging their manhood when you challenge them. So and I'm not saying every man, I'm just saying some men feel like if a woman challenges them in an area, they're challenging their manhood, and they don't feel like they can be the man that they want to be because she wants you to be a certain way.
Well, that wasn't that challenging my man. That has never been a problem. That ain't never been no problem. I'm the man. I know where I stand on that. So that wasn't a problem as far as that part. But just to know that she wasn't just gonna take yes, you do what you want. You know, that meant something. That means she cared. Number one. You know, because a lot of things I was finna go do, it wasn't right. You know, and she would be like, no, you don't need to be hanging with them. No, you don't need to do that. No, you don't, you know, some of those things. So that was, I got a kick out of that.
That's good.
Miss Toy, what about you? What are some of the things you like about your spouse, by AC?
I love his personality. AC has a really, really great personality, and I just love the way he's able to connect with people and you know, form relationships with people, because, you know, I'm the opposite. You know, I don't really like to connect with people like that, you know. So I mean, so it's actually a strength, I think, for him. You know, his personality is a strength, you know, and he's able to connect with people and even network, you know, because he's able to connect with people. So that's something I really love about him, his personality.
Awesome. Hey, so listen, you gotta let me get this one away, because I gotta flip the script right here. All right, be careful. Be careful. I'm gonna start with Miss Toy this time. What are some of the things that irk you most about your spouse, and how have you learned to deal with that?
So, his personality.
You love it, but it irks you the most. Okay.
But I know that's crazy, but sometimes I'm like, babe, you talk to anybody. Like, it don't matter who it is. I mean, and it's like that's my good friend. That's a great friend. I'm like, babe, you don't even know these people. So I think it's a catch-22, but I think sometimes his personality is so different from me that sometimes I can't relate, you know, because I'm not like that, you know. If I call somebody a friend, they're really a friend. Yeah. There's somebody that I trust. There's somebody that's solid. But AC, you know, that's a friend.
Everybody is
That's a good friend.
Everybody 10 in my book.
So, being that you guys have been together for a while, 8 years marriage and all of that, you love, but what is it that irks you about her?
Be careful.
Be careful.
No, really, the one thing the most is when she roll eyes. And she do. Like if I'm saying something, I can be looking at her, but when she walking away, she roll that's like you don't care. Like you blowing me off. I don't like that. I mean, no, stand here and talk to me with her, but that kind of irks me a lot. So that's one of the things she's done better.
Is she working on? That's what I said.
She has.
I'm about to roll them now.
Because here's the thing though, so on a serious note, one of the things that we talk about all the time is that what they like, what they don't like, you should care about that. That should matter to you. If they love it, if they hate it, if they're bothered by it, you should be bothered. You know, the Bible says when one rejoices, we all rejoice. When one hurts, we all hurt. So that's the same with a spouse. So if something is irking you, if irking your spouse, it should irk you that they're irked. And you should want to do something to fix that, right? So as a couple, it's very important that we're attentive to their loves, to their dislikes, to their hates, to their desires, whatever it is, so that you can be on one accord. Now, talk about some of the responsibilities or changes you might not have been ready for, and how did you cope with them?
Well, I would say for me, just being a husband. You know, really being a husband. Again, my first marriage, I think I can really say I wasn't there. You know, I didn't pretty much. I had my own rules. I did what I wanted to do. It wasn't a commitment. Wasn't no unity. So just really manning up, I would say. Just really manning up, being responsible, doing what I'm supposed to do, communicating. So that was a really challenge to me. Again, I was just in a mode to where I could do what I want to do. And it can't be that way in a marriage, you know.
Wow, that's good. You talked about communication. What helped you learn to be a more effective communicator with your wife?
Just seeing her upset and disappointed, because I didn't, I tell her something after the fact, and then the look on her face like, now, why didn't you just tell me? Why didn't we just talk about it before you did that? Because I could have helped you with whatever that was or what that problem was, but you not telling me what's going on, that really bothered me, to know that she cared, that she was willing to talk with me, work it out with me, work through it, whatever the case may be. So just to see the disappointment in her face.
That's good. That's good. Hey, so while we're there, I'm gonna give you a hard one here, because I talk to a lot of guys, and a lot of guys, they feel like they don't have that space, that safe place to where they can communicate or can talk to their wives about things. So what would you say helped you, or what advice would you give on how on that helped you being able to communicate like that on that level? Because a lot of guys can't. Right? I feel they can, I'll say that.
Man, it's like Nike, just do it. Just go for it. Just be open. Just let it out. That's the one thing about men, and I just kind of speak for myself, where, man, I don't want her to think I'm less of a man. I don't want her to think I'm weak. But no, she's your helpmate. She's there to hold you up. She's there to be there to encourage you, to strengthen you. So let it out. And that was the one thing the one advice, just let it out.
Wow, that's good.
All right, Ms. Tua, that question goes to you as well. Talk about some responsibilities or changes that you might not have been ready for, and how did you cope with them?
Okay, well, I can say for me, it was AC having children. So when I met him, he had children, and that was something that I thought I was ready for, or I thought I could handle it, but it ended up being more of a challenge than I thought it would be, because I'm so loving and, I just wanted to embrace them, but it didn't go like that at first, what I envisioned. So it became, something I had to, just really work at,
Good question. So twofold. So did that cause issues with you guys? And then how did you deal with that and get past that?
Yes, it caused a lot of issues at first, because I think in the beginning, I didn't even know how to handle it. So I would always approach him with the rah-rah. It wasn't no talking, it was attack most of the time. So I think that, of course, when I attacked, I think he responded. And sometimes I just felt like, now looking back, a lot of times he really didn't know what to do. Because, he was trying to satisfy me, he was trying to satisfy the children, their mother. So, it was a challenge, it really was.
And I would say, to answer that, again, she go back to my personality. I'm kind of a non-confrontational guy. So I was trying to make both parties happy. Wasn't putting my wife number one. So I would say that played a big part in it. I was trying to make my ex-wife and her happy and compromising with her, but not thinking with my wife, how she was hurting. And no, that ain't how we gonna do it. She wanted $200. No, you didn't just give it to her because she asked for $200. We need to talk about it. How can we work through? Or what? The baby need $200. How about she give 100 and you give 100? Why you got to get a whole 200? But I just did it because I didn't want confrontation. I just wanted to keep the peace. Keeping the peace ain't always good. Right. Ain't always good. And so
it's not keeping the peace in your house.
Exactly. And that's where I'm coming from. Just in my house. That was causing tension, because I wouldn't talk to her about it. I would just do it. And then tell her, she's like, hey, whatever happened with what the girls need, oh, I took care of it. Why do you tell me? You know, so there you go. You know, kind of going behind her back because I didn't want confrontation.
So basically, just including her in the decisions help you guys get through it.
Go back to communicating. Communication is the key.
And then you talked about, and here's the thing in a lot of marriages, we always say, well, we just want to keep the peace. I don't want to be fussing on it. And the Bible says that we should be peacemakers, not peacekeepers, right? If you just keep in peace, you're not resolving anything. If anything, you're suppressing everything. And then at an opportune moment, you're going to blow up. Because you've been suppressing for so long, trying to keep peace, that you actually made a catastrophe in your marriage. And so we have to be very, very careful about just trying to keep peace. And we have to be intentional about making peace. Making peace means that you're going to have some hard conversations sometimes. Making peace means that you're going to have to compromise and realize that it's not your way every single time. And so that's one of the things I think where a lot of marriages go wrong is because we try to keep peace and not try to make peace.
That's good. And to piggyback on that, kind of what she's saying, so on the flip end, when I did compromise and just do it, when I did say no, then she flip out, then I go crazy because I'm like, I say no one time, and this is what I get. And so now, like she said, now it boils out, and now I just go off and I get out of character. You know, that's how I used to get, because I did do it. Then I'd be like, no, I ain't gonna do it. And when I say no one time, my ex-wife, she would just go. And I'm like, how she gonna act like that because I say no one time? So again, it got me out of character, and it made me it just opened, it flowed out in the wrong way.
And it really brought division.
Exactly.
We got to understand too that that's a trick of the enemy. This brings division when you try to keep peace, because what happens is that nobody's really satisfied with the peacekeeping. Nobody's satisfied. We act like we're satisfied, but you don't know what you don't know, and you keep in peace. That means something is not coming out, and when it does come out, it's going to bring a great divide because it should have come out a long time ago.
Yeah. Also, I add this as well. I've come to understand also that we have to be very careful about how we loosely say let's compromise, because reality is that even in a compromise, most of the time, somebody's going to feel like they lost or somebody's going to feel like they won. And 90% of the time, the one with the stronger personality, most of the time, that's the one who probably is going to win, because they get their point off more, they're going to say it more. And so it has to not necessarily be a compromise, but hey, let's agree on this and move forward, because again, that could be a dangerous word as well.
That's good.
Can you share with us some of the most difficult times in your marriage, and how were you able to get through those times? And you can talk about as little as much as you want, but just relate to us, like especially in a pandemic right now. So many divorce rates are up sky high, and all kinds of things are happening, but it doesn't even have to be in a pandemic. What were some of the most challenging times in your marriage, and how were you able to overcome that?
Well, I think we've had a lot of challenges, with the children, and the baby mama situation, and just a lot of different circumstances that were difficult. But I can say that the difference maker for us was salvation. Being delivered from some things and changing our life and really just giving our lives to God. I think it helped us deal with situations differently, because before we would approach it in a worldly way. So when you have disagreements, or you have arguments, or you have just things you're dealing with, whatever challenges you may face, if you're dealing with it from a worldly way, most of the times you're going to get worldly results. Yeah. So I think for me, that was one of the things that really was a game changer in our marriage when we got saved.
And for me, it's just, like she said, just changing the way you think. As men, I was telling the pastor this other day, we want to be the lead. We talk to be the lead. We're the head of the household. We're to be on top. And I was listening to a teacher the other day where, it said, that's wrong. Us men, we're to be on the bottom because we're the foundation. We're the foundation. So we have to withhold and we have to stand and take a little bit more than the woman does. And sometimes that's putting your pride aside, putting yourself aside, and saying, how can I make this right? I may not like it. I may, like Pastor Lisa, may take the short end. I may be a little uncomfortable, but we need to address this. I need to make it right because I am. I'm in charge of this family. I'm in charge of what's going to go on with my wife and I, and how I'm going to lead. So being that foundation, I had to change my mind, change the way I think, change the way I approach things, the way I let it out, the way, what's the word I want to say? When I'm trying to talk to my wife or talk to someone, it was the way we communicate or whatever. It had to be different. It couldn't be in a tone of anger or attack. It had to be in a vulnerable. I had to make myself vulnerable a little bit, and that's what helped.
That was pretty deep. Like you said, you had a lot of times we think of men as the head, but you had to learn to be the foundation. Meaning that you had to carry the weight of the building of your marriage on your shoulders. That's a lot. That's good. That's good. And sometimes, I want to ask, and this is a guy thing, how do you handle the weight when it feels like everything is crumbling or when it feels like it's just too much? How do you handle that weight, Pastor D, you guys? I don't know, whatever that is. I know you've had moments, but for somebody out there that's a man right now that's watching us or listening to us, what would you tell them as to how they need to handle the weight of their house?
Want me to answer first, Pastor D? Go ahead. Well, because I know your answer will be strong. But me personally, it goes back to that changing your mind, changing your life, that salvation, that total surrender. So to me, man, it's prayer. When I just talk to the Lord and build that connection, He's always answered. And told me gave me the advice that I needed, spoke to me. But when I did not have that connection, I'm going to go to my homeboy who just as bad off as I am, who ain't got nothing either, who wife ready to leave him too. And now we just going to tell and talk about what we both don't like about our wife, our children, our job, and everything else. So, but when you got that connection, and when you have that godly connection, and you just really got that covenant, you go to prayer, and He's going to answer every time. And He just give you that godly counseling, correct?
That's definitely good. One of the things I always say, I'm a Bible guy. I take that literally, and I know in the book of James it says, if any man lacks wisdom, let him ask. So I truly lean on that, and I know at the same time there's some things we have to do in the natural as well. So again, I take it to God, and God gives us, already has given us a blueprint. Another thing, I look at as well, it's in when Moses is judging Israel, all the issues and everything, and Jethro come and tell him, he says, you're going to wear yourself out, and you're going to wear the people out as well. And so he said, appoint some, this, and that. And what Moses was doing, Moses was toting the burdens of the people. But his leaders were supposed to carry those burdens and carry them to the feet of Jesus. And so that's one of the things that really freed me, even as a pastor. Like I just because I love people so much, and I know we got a lot of leaders and pastors here as well. That really freed me that one of my roles was not to tote people's burdens, because if I tote, it's going to wear me down, it's going to frustrate me, it's going to burn me out. But my role is to carry those burdens to the feet of Jesus. And so that really helped me. So I'm taking them to Jesus. He's the one that can change. I don't have the power to change anybody. And so when they bring it to me, you know, I'm taking it to Jesus, you know. And so, but that really even helps me in my marriage. My wife will tell you, like, we can be in some disagreements, and she don't like it, like, and I like in the middle of disagreeing, I said, okay, let's pray. Let's pray, because I really truly understand that, you know, where there's light, darkness cannot hide. And if I'm walking in the power and authority of the Spirit, then arguments, contention, strife, that stuff, it cannot stay in my presence. And so it's two things I've learned that's going to happen. It's either going to stop or it's going to flee. And it has not failed. And she'll get mad at me, but it's almost like her mouth, like, not let's say her mouth, but I'm just saying the arguments and all that stuff, they cease. They cease.
Okay, what you gonna do, wives? Y'all in the middle of an argument, and he be like, baby, come on, let's just pray. Father, right now, and he don't get time to respond. Father, right now, with all this disagreement, all this commotion, God, right now we counsel the enemy, everything that the devil is trying to do, and you sitting there like, this joke.
I'm not saying amen. I'm not.
like, I don't know, because I'm scared. I'm like, okay, if I say something, is God going to get me? Because he will literally go into a prayer in a really heated moment and talk about not letting the devil win.
And Pastor Trish, I want to kind of add in, you know, another thing, you know, when you got that connection, God sent good godly men in your corner too. You know, and so, you know, like Pastor D, very strong in my corner, but God has sent the right men to talk to. Because Proverbs 27:17 tells us iron sharpens iron. So we have to have that accountability partner that we can go and talk to and vent, where you don't hold it in, but you ain't gonna get no worldly advice. You know, sometimes I do. I just want to let it rip. Yeah. I call Pastor D and he tell me, no, you see, he can't. But that's what we need. You know, you need someone that you can depend on, that man that you can go and talk to about some of the issues that you're having.
Amen. Y'all get something out of this? We're getting ready to, we're closing it out. But before we go, can you leave, like let's talk about nurturing right now in the pandemic, in general, just every day. What is it, as we leave, what is something that you can leave with the people to continue to nurture your marriage in times such as this, so that you can continue to grow stronger and be stronger and take your marriage to another level? What is something you would impart into everyone today?
Well, I would like to just encourage every man. One of the things I do, I make sure before my wife leaves the house, I'm the first man to tell her how good she looks and to have a great day. I don't want my wife to leave the house and she go into a grocery store or anywhere else and another man tell her, you look nice today or whatever, or look, and she be like, man, my husband ain't telling me that, you know. So that's I would like to encourage men to just start that day off positive, no matter what, to say something encouraging before your wife leave the house. And then number two, again, you may have those heated arguments. Don't go to bed without settling it.
Words of affirmation.
Don't matter how tough it is, and it may not be all the way right, but it needs to be addressed before you go to bed. I just encourage you to do that.
Man, that's good. So you have anything?
I would just say, for us, or for, you know, our marriage, I think we started nurturing our marriage more when we started doing like little marriage groups and attending things like that, because it really gives you different perspectives on how to deal with different things. I mean, so, you know, I encourage people now, especially with us being over the marriage ministry at our church, I encourage as many married people as possible to come in and get some of these nuggets and just grow, because really you end up growing, you know, and that's the thing. You know, it's just like a plant. If you don't feed it, it's gonna die, you know. Even with us, we don't eat, you know, you gotta eat to live. So I just feel like, you know, it's very important to find whatever works, but you have to nurture your marriage. That's so important. That's so important.
I think doing some type of devotion or reading or praying, something together.
Yeah.
You know, doing something together. You know, and it's, you know, I know you always hear, I don't have time. But you have to make time for it. And that's one thing that my wife and I, we try to make time, no matter how tired or whatever the case may be. We make time to we have a devotional book we do. Some nights I'll read it, some nights she'll read it, or whatever the case. We just try to do something to nurture biblically to help us grow.
Amen. Y'all give it up for the Carters. Amen. This has been awesome. So we have looked in so that we could be better out in the interview. This is awesome.